Hey, good to see you again. So last time we talked about Vera. Today we're going to talk about the Zone. Now, see, the Zone is an area of my hometown that's all wooded. Now, this place is weird. And it's weird for so many reasons. So my grandmother used to live on the eastern part of what us kids called the Zone. Now, this thing's only about 6 square miles. So when she moved there, and she'd watch us on the weekends, we'd go explore the woods. Because, that's what we did as kids. We went and explored the woods. We didn't have Xbox. We didn't have PlayStations. We didn't have Nintendos. We had the woods. So in this patch of woods, there is an old housing development. And you can still see the foundations today. Now, the weird thing is, I've been to City Hall, because we've done investigations. That's a different story. We've been able to try to look up this old neighborhood. It's not on the record. So the entire area has been scrubbed from history. But the foundations are still there. You can still see the roundabouts. You can see everything of where the house used to be. Now, there used to be a woman that used to live there. We're going to call her Gladys. Now, Gladys was the last person to live in this chunk of woods. She was the holdout. She did not want to leave. She would tell us all the time about how these people would come by and offer her enormous sums of money for the house and the property. She always told them, no, this is where I live. She was an elderly woman. So Gladys, one night, Grandma's watching us. Gladys comes over to visit. And she tells us about this story. She goes, the night before, she was laying in bed, and a hole opened up in the ceiling in her bedroom. And out of it crawled this giant snake. She said it had the head of a horse. About the size of a horse. So we're talking a pretty good sized, anaconda. We don't have giant snakes where I'm from. We have garter snakes. We have little guys. So she says this thing crawled out of her attic. And the body never left the attic. So it's hanging down. It's facing her. And it's staring at her. And she says she wasn't terrified, but more intrigued by what is going on with this thing. She says it felt like a couple hours, it might have been a couple minutes, but eventually it crawled back up into the ceiling and left. So, us being us, we go over to Gladys's house. And sure enough, there is a hole in the ceiling. Probably about the size of a basketball. Well, we're just little kids. We don't think about really checking anything out. But, at that point, it's an interesting story, So we go back to Grandma's house. Gladys goes back to her house. About a week later, Gladys's children, or young adults at this point, had found her dead in bed. Hole had never been patched up. So they clear out her belongings and the house is still standing there. Within a month's time, this thing becomes a wrecked shack. It just falls in on itself after a month. Well, again, us kids, being dumb kids, decide we're going to go over and we're going to take a look at this place. Well, as we're looking into where the front door used to be, and this has only been a month, and we don't have, it was during the summer, it wasn't a harsh winter, it wasn't a forest fire. This thing fell down in upon itself within a month. So we go over to the house, we're looking at it, and in what used to be her bedroom is now a nest of snakes. Thousands and thousands of snakes. Well, we leave, and throughout the years we walk past, and what's left of the building finally crumbles down to foundation, like the other houses in the development. Now, before Gladys died, she had told us about how people had come to this housing development in the late 70s and had basically bought everybody out of their places, and everybody was leaving. Well, the place was never improved. It was just left as is. It's still a big patch of woods and trees at the moment. So that's kind of weird on why people would buy it out. Also, what is weird about this place is the burial mounds that are everywhere. In our neck of the woods, we're in the Chinook Indian Territory. Now, they would normally bury their dead on skiffs to the elements. They didn't really do a whole lot of in-ground burials, but whatever tribe was here in this neck of the woods, they were burying them in the ground in rock mounds. And if you go into the zone, you'll see these rock mounds everywhere. And there is one rock mound in the swamp that when it dried up, we went all the way back to take a look at it. This thing stands probably about 12 feet tall. And the same archaeologist had told us that was the chieftain's grave. Now, if I had done any serious research, I would have figured out what this guy's name was and checked his credentials. Because what I found out later in life does not match what he had said. But then again, there were multiple tribes in this area, so their customs may have been different between each one. Now then, I like to say that's as weird as the zone gets, but that's on the eastern side. The side next to the river, the northern side, I was a little bit older, and me and another buddy decided we're going to go down and we're going to check out the area that used to be the old docks. My town used to be the shipping center. We built ships. This was the port of call until we had a massive fire that burned down all of our docks, and then Portland got all of the business. Conspiracy? Possible. Different story, though. So down on the beachfront, there's a set of train tracks. There was an abandoned train down there. And in the very back end of it was a satanic altar that somebody had put up. Well, the minute we saw that, we got the hell out of there. But after we left there, it was the weird things that seemed to stalk us back through the woods that was really kind of creepy. Just shadows. Weird things. But the biggest weird thing of all, because Grandma lived on the east side, I lived on the west side, I would walk over to visit Grandma because, it's sunny, it's summer. You want to walk through the woods, get a little bit of nature in, You don't want to be on your car all the time. So as I'm walking, it's a nice, hot summer day. I enter in from the west, and I'm walking through that part of the zone. The birds become non-existent, and then I hear it. A horse galloping. I know this sound very well. I've grown up riding. So I know what a horse galloping sounds like. And it's coming from behind me, and I'm thinking, okay, it's not too odd. A lot of people out here have horses. Maybe somebody's taking their horse through this area of woods. It's scenic. It's off the beaten path. I turn around and look behind me. There's no horse. But there's dust being kicked up as if by a horse's hooves. And it's galloping full speed at me. And I can see the dust clouds coming at me. And then it runs through me, past me. I turn, I watch, I can still see hoof prints striking the dirt as it goes down and around the corner. And you can see the prints in the dust. So as I'm standing there, and I'm trying to get a better idea of what's going on, that's when I see the child. It's a little boy, about 8 or 9, dressed in clothing of the 30s, and he's standing just off to the left of the trail. He waves, he laughs, he jumps behind a little tree. Now this tree is only probably about 2 feet around. And that's the only thing that's in this meadow is a tree. So if he's going to run behind the tree and continue running, I'm going to be able to see him. But he runs behind the tree and just disappears. It's gone. Poof. Other people that I have talked to who have gone through the zone have said the same thing. Weird animals, the phantom horse, the young boy from the 30s. And right now, we can't get into the zone because the entire thing is no trespassing. So, we've never been able to pinpoint what it is with this patch of woods, but it's not developed. They don't build anything back there. They don't acknowledge any housing existed back there. But it was just one of those things that if you went into the zone, you were going to see or hear something, because that place never let you down. But thanks for coming along, and next time I'll have another really good story about our case files for you. Till then, have a good one.